How you guys doing? These are 33 advanced sparring tactics to dominate your next championship. If you don't know who I am, my name is Master Danny Lee, and I went from being super unathletic to becoming 2024 US National Champion. And today we're gonna learn how to control the pace of the fight, read our opponents, and exploit their weaknesses with pinpoint accuracy. So then that way, you'll have that last bit of unfair advantage so you can dominate your next championship and become real Taekwondo master. Let's go get it. I'm first going to cover the cut and cancel fighter. It's broken down into multiple sections, starting with the introduction. So when I'm talking about this type of fighter, you may see in modern day Taekwondo a lot of times that most of the fighters are loading up this back leg. So what this kind of stance is saying to me is that they're loading this back leg so they can lift their front leg much easier, and then that way that they can throw out these front leg attacks. So whether that be a front leg roundhouse kick, Apbal, or it be a cut leg technique, they're looking to keep a long distance with their opponent. Usually, these fighters are going to be a little bit taller, a little bit more flexible, so it works to their advantage. But they're looking to keep a long distance with their opponent, so then that way they can fight this linear, almost fencing-esque game. So what this entails is this fighter is not trying to create angles or use their footwork or be a little bit more mobile around the court. They're looking to stay in place, keep their ground, and slowly but gradually walk you down, or instead of walk, maybe kick you down, so then that way they can rely on this front leg. And since it scores so well on the modern day chess gear, they can keep this continuous front leg coming at you until either they hit you in an offensive attack or they catch you coming in with a defensive attack. So now that I've explained what a cut cancel style fighter is, I want to show you guys an example of how you can use your cut cancel style fighting in real game. So me as the cut cancel style fighter, I want to be in control of the ring at all times. I want to keep the game as linear as possible, and I don't want the opponent to be dictating the speed of it. So in order to do this, I want you guys to think in your head, if you draw a circle around your body, right? And the edge of the circle is going to be the end of your foot or your range. I want to keep this other opponent at the edge of that circle at all times. At no time should I be letting him getting into that circle. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is use my front leg cut multiple times, if need be, to create space and create pressure to get him to back up. And then what I can rely on is the fact that if he backs up enough times, he's eventually going to want to move into me. And that's when I can catch him with a sharp defensive cut to score my points. I can also use my cancel in case he doesn't just slide in, but he uses his own front leg attack. And then that way I can negate any type of attempt of him coming in too hard at me, and I can keep him at bay and keep this a long style linear attack. So to show you guys an example, me as the cut style fighter, I'm gonna be having my weight on the back leg, and I'm going to be pressuring him with this front leg. And what I'm trying to do is get him to come in and catch him with that front leg cut kick. So again, I'm going to be pressuring, and timing that second that he's trying to step into me so I can keep this a long game and punish him for whenever he tries to step in to my range. Now that we know what a cut and cancel fighter is, let's talk about the stances and footwork for this type of fighter. When I'm in this defensive stance, I'm going to load my back leg a little bit more than I would in the traditional neutral stance. So again, we're going to come at about shoulder width. I'm going to load this back knee first. It doesn't have to be all the way back like this. I want you to be comfortable so you can still move wherever you need to. But we're going to load this back leg a little bit more. My shoulder is going to be back, and this way I'm a little bit more safe in case an attack comes at me. What this also does is it takes a little bit of weight off of my front leg. So in case I have to use it to parry or cancel, I'm able to lift it up at ease. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is sit into that stance, lean a little bit back into that back leg. Don't forget about your hands. Have this back hand a little bit close to your chest and the front hand out forward. And I want you guys to practice bouncing again with your heels up for about 10 minutes so you guys could feel comfortable. Make sure you repeat on both sides so you don't get a little bit too comfortable on one than the other. And then after you finish this, we're going to move on to the next one, which is the offensive stance. So when we come into our stance, what we're gonna do is load the back leg just like we were about to kick a cut kick, right? So we're coming into a more loaded stance. And from here, I'm going to lift this front leg ever so slightly and also press down on the floor while using this front side. So I can think about this as just a accessory to this front foot, but what I want you guys to focus on first is stepping forward. So we're going to step forward just like this. Once you get these steps forward, I'm gonna keep my body loose, so my body is just following the flow of the momentum that I create. So we're gonna come into the stance, right? And we're going to take a small step and let our upper body follow. Just like this. Now from here, there's many different variations that we can put on it using my hand, using my shoulder, but this all varies on each situation. So when you guys are practicing, if you're at your dojang, your home or a gym, go in front of the mirror and I want you to throw a cut kick first. Once you see how your cut kick looks, I want you to mirror the starting motion of that cut kick as closely as possible to make it look as realistic as possible. So from here, if I slightly load and then I pick up my front leg and then I kick it out, then I can kind of mirror that just by taking that step forward and dropping into the stance. Now from here, you can use your foot to create a sound. You can use your voice, your kiap, to also add to the allure or the effectiveness of that fake. Or you can use your front hand or back hand to add a little bit more impact into that fake. For the fakes, since it's not taking up as much energy, I want you guys to try 100 times on both stances before we move on to the next motion. Now let's talk about the offense or attacks when it comes to cut and cancel fighters. Due to front leg fighting, the cut kick is so widely used that it's been restricted to 3 pumps or 3 cuts at a time. So today we're going to be working on a pumping cut, 3 to be specific, and I'm going to explain just how to get your leg up and how to extend in order to continue without dropping that foot. So first I want you to load that back leg by bending the back leg and putting all of the weight on it so I get a nice spring. And I want you to think of like a slinky. So if a slinky is compressed, then after it's compressed, it has a lot of potential energy and it's able to expand. And also from that expansion, it comes back into itself, so you get that bouncing effect. Same thing with my leg. I'm going to cock it in, like it's like a piston, and then from here, I'm going to pop out, but instead of extending and dropping, I'm going to pop out and then bring it back into my chest. So from here, I pop out, bring it back into my chest, and I'm ready to expand again, just like the slinky. 1, 2. So if we do that full speed, again, load the back leg, we're gonna lift the front leg first, and then I'm gonna work on pushing out 3 times, all while traveling with this back foot. So from here, as you can see, it's a fluid movement. You don't want to have too much upper body overcompensation, so your arms are flailing like this. You want to keep them nice and tight so you can cover your body, all while keeping your head safe, nice and back, and then my foot is doing all the work. When we're facing our opponents, a lot of times they'll try and get out of the way of my first kick. So for example, if I throw a single cut kick and they move back, now I'm in range to get attacked myself, and I might not have enough defense to be able to cover or counter in time. So if I can predict that this person is going to move back, I can use my pumping cut to cover that distance without putting my foot down and still score that point. So when we're going to drill it, I want you guys to start off in a medium distance, and then from here, as I pump, the person will be sliding back. So since I'm pumping 3 times, I want this person to slide back once on my first pump, once, second, twice, and then the third, I'm going to work on extension, okay? So full speed. From here, I'm going to travel and then score that cut. Once dialing in with our cut kick, I want you guys to start working on some variations. So today we're gonna mix the front leg roundhouse kick, aka the Apbal, along with the cut kick. So instead of cutting and then putting my foot down, I'm gonna keep it in the air, change the angle, and then go for that front leg roundhouse kick. So first what I want you guys to do is, with all front leg techniques, I like to load this back leg. And then from there, I'm going to lift my leg into the cut kick position and then extend forward. But instead of leaving it straight, I'm going to pump it back into my chest so I'm ready to kick again, just like this. And then from here, instead of pushing it out again like a cut kick, I'm going to bend my knee and snap it to score the point on the front side of their chest gear. So full speed from here. In order to land the cut Apbal, I want you guys to think that you're covering distance with the first cut kick instead of actually kicking to score. So once you see that the opponent has moved back, you've covered that distance with the cut kick, instead of letting it drop and then giving them an opportunity to lift their leg, you're gonna keep it up and then score that point. That's why this back leg traveling is so important. So when we go to kick, we're gonna start off in a realistic distance, and once my holder sees that I lift my front leg and I cut kick, they're gonna take about a half step back. From here, I should be in distance to score that Apbal on the open side, okay? So full speed. From here, we can bounce, we can move around, we could fake and step a little bit. And once I'm ready, so as you can see, there's two pumps coming from both my front leg and this base leg supporting. And if you guys are having trouble, always remember that you want to lead with that front leg and load the back leg. Once we're able to kick the Apbal comfortably, we're gonna start working on the Apbal 2-touch. So that refers to when I kick the Apbal, but I don't let it come straight down to the floor. I'm going to keep it in the air and then change the direction of it so I can bring it up to the face. So first we're gonna start off just like a regular Apbal. We're gonna kick it out and re-chamber into that roundhouse kick position. So from here, I re-chamber. Once I re-chamber, I'm going to lift the knee just a little bit. So instead of having a straight line towards the body, I'm having a straight line towards the face. And then from there, I can snap it out and then touch that head. So the reason that I'm doing this 2-touch is not to score both of them. My first kick is more like a feint or a fake to get their cover to come down low. And then once that feint comes down low, then I could bring the foot up to their face. And if I perform it correctly, then it should be wide open for me to score. So full speed from here. When looking to drill the Apbal 2-touch, we're gonna start off in a closed stance. So this way I can think that my opponent's face is right here. So once I get into this position, this area right here would be my opponent's stomach or their hogu, right? So I can put my foot right where their hogu would be and imagine in my head that they're blocking. So then that way I can work on getting the block to come out and then I can fake up to the face. So from here, I'm gonna find the distance. And once I find the distance, I'm going to kick through and not drop it, but kick through and then bring it over the top. So again, I find my distance, load the back leg, and then I'm trying to get that second kick to come out as fluidly as possible. Now, as you know, no offense is good without solid defensive techniques to work with. When practicing the cancel kick, you first must understand why it is the most popular and widely used defensive technique in the modern game. With the electronic hogu, the most popular kick to score with is the front leg cut kick. So in order to make sure that my body is safe and I'm not getting scored on, instead of just using this front hand or this backhand, which leaves myself with a lot of open holes to get scored on, I'm also going to be lifting this front leg, which not only gives myself a wider area of coverage, but but it also protects me from getting kicked a second or third time. So now that you guys know a little bit of why we use the cancel kick, I want to show you how to use it. So from here, I want you guys to start off in a back-loaded stance, so almost like a defensive stance, so then that way you can put all of your weight on this back leg. From here, I have my front hand in front, ready to parry in case their leg kicks me a second or third time. And what I want you guys to focus on is when you lift this front leg, you're going to pivot just slightly so you can open up the hip and you can get maximal range out of this front hip. So from here, I'm lifting, and if need be, I can extend through as well. So if you draw a line from their hip to yours and their cut kick is coming like this, I want to break that line with my front leg. So from here, I'm gonna lift it and I'm gonna use my front hip using my core, and then I can drop when I feel like it's necessary. So to show you guys, if your partner is throwing a cut kick at you, you want to be able to time the second that they leave the floor with their front foot and meet them in the middle with your front leg. So what I want you guys to do when you're at home is practice on looking at their front foot. As you get more comfortable, you can lift your eyes a little bit more to the body. But to start off, I want you to look at the second that they lift that front foot. That way, I could time lifting my front leg. So then when they lift that cut kick, it's getting nowhere near my body. And then I can either drop it, or as I show you in later sections, you can lead on to other kicks as well. As we explained earlier, the cancel kick is essential in being able to defend yourself from whenever the cut kick or the front leg attack is coming at you. So this combination, we're going to be using the cancel kick and also our backhand punch, so then we can close the distance and then hopefully score a point as long with that. So with your opponent coming in with that front leg, you first want to make sure you have a nice safe cancel so that when you drop right here, you're in that close range distance. So if you saw as I drop, my momentum is coming forward just as there is as well. So what I'm going to do is make most of that situation and use this backhand to drop in at the same time. So from here, when they come in with a cut, I cancel and then I drop in into the punch. After I land here, I want to make sure that I punch and I shut it down, or aka I'm closing the distance completely so I don't have to worry about any other kicks that are coming. For this technique, we're going to be using our Apbal, or our front leg roundhouse kick, to use as a combination right after we cancel. Because after we cancel, the opponent is going to be a little bit off balance. Maybe they're not ready to defend correctly for my attack. So I'm going to use that split second that I have as an opportunity to score with my front leg. So when you come into close stance and you see that they're using their front leg for either an Apbal or a cut, you're going to have a nice good cancel. And what my job is to drop my foot, and then before that they can drop their foot, I'm using it to score that Apbal, like this. So you're looking to use that offbeat timing. So again, I'm going to show you. You want to have a nice strong cancel and then drop that foot right away so you have a nice explosion to score that offbeat Apbal. This time, instead of putting our foot down, we're going to keep it in the air and then kick right away. So we have a little bit more of an opening to score that Apbal, and then we're saving some time for ourselves as well. So from here, after my cancel, I'm going to keep this leg nice and high. So then that way I could clear that kick and then have time to score right afterwards. So instead of canceling, dropping, and then kicking, so it's giving him a little bit time to lift his leg again, I'm going to keep my leg in the air and then find the opening right after that. This utilizes a little bit more hip strength. So if you need a little bit more hip strength, so when you're going to aim for a defensive cut, you're looking to time for when the person is coming into you so you can stop them from coming in, and also use their momentum for your foot to press into that chest guard and create a point. So what I want you guys to do is lean onto this back leg and load it up. And I want you to lift your front leg as you see them moving in. So as I see this person moving into me, I want to time it. So then from here, I'm getting a nice push. I want you guys to make sure that you're not just staying in place, because if you're staying in place, then their momentum can push me backwards. I want you guys to think about sliding this front foot, this bottom foot forward as well, so you can push and meet them in the middle, almost like you're stopping a train in its tracks. So from here, as you see them moving forward, you're pushing forward. And if you saw my bottom foot moved as well, I'll show you guys one more time. You load that back leg and you have this front leg ready to push out straight. So when they come in, you're creating a nice good stop. So we're looking to score a defensive Apbal to the head. You're looking to bring your knee up into a tight, high chamber so you can clear either their leg or their shoulder to get it over their head and score that point. So before you start, you're going to load this back leg and you're going to aim to bring this leg up as fast as you can so you have enough time before they close the distance. So if you start off in a medium distance and your opponent is sliding into you or kicking into you, you want to time that moment and bring it over their shoulder and scoring onto their head. After you score, you want to make sure that you land with the ball of your foot, so then that way you could either bring your front leg up again or you can get out of distance and be safe with your cover. Let's talk about the tactics and scenarios that involve these offensive and defensive techniques. So now that you guys know the main goal of cut cancel style fighters, I'm going to show you main examples or scenarios in game of what you guys can apply. So me as the cut leg fighter, I'm going to be using my front leg to push him back, cut him back, and create pressure. But once an opponent sees that I'm using that cut leg at their body, I can read that and then flip over to the head to open up that space and hopefully score. Now, if you guys seen, he already stepped back. So chances are he's leaning back, he's stepping back, he's gonna wanna come back in. And from this, I can lead on and catch a short range front leg attack. I can bring the front leg over the head, or I can twist it to the body as well, and this sets up my cut leg style fighting. In this next scenario, I'm gonna show you me as the cut leg style fighter trying to defend and keep my points against someone who's trying to score that underkick with their back leg. So I know that they're wanting to come in, so I'm gonna keep my weight all the way on my back leg and have this ready to catch him whenever he slides in. Then once I know I have his timing and I see that he's trying to kick his underkick, I'm gonna time the same time, have a nice cover, and score that on his body. Because especially when he kicks and his foot is off the floor, I know that if I push him correctly, that he's gonna lose balance and maybe I could make a 3-point play out of it. So for this next scenario, I'm gonna show you guys using my front leg, cut leg, not once, but 3 times in a row. So if this opponent is used to me cutting it once at a time and they're maybe pulling out like this, and I could see that they're not trying to play with my front leg game, then I can read that, and then when I feel like the timing is right, I can pump 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then hopefully I catch him. But even if I didn't, now I have a really good ring positioning, and he's in the edge of the corner. So again, that plays into my style of trying to catch when he comes in and making that mistake, and then I can either transfer into a head kick, I can transfer into a different angle, or if I feel like he's getting too close, I can use my backhand to punch and score that point as well. So if you're a cut leg fighter, I'm gonna show you guys some weaknesses or vulnerabilities that you guys can watch out for. A lot of times, if I'm loading up for that cut and I have all my weight on my back leg, it kind of puts me in a defensive position. So me as the cut leg fighter, if I forget to create the pressure or start off and initiate the attacks first, if I forget to do this and I'm only laying on that back leg and I'm waiting, then it puts me very susceptible to get countered or faked, or I can miss my timing if I'm letting this person initiate with whether it be their front leg or their motion, and I mess up and I raise my leg, or I could get a comp jump, or if I mess up and I raise my leg and they counter that with either an under kick or whatever counter it may be. If me as the tall cut leg fighter, I forget to initiate and create that pressure first, it puts me at a very disadvantaged position. So another weakness that you guys can look out for being a cut leg fighter is overextending through your cuts. So if I'm trying to score on my opponent and I'm down on points and I'm trying to chase him and I'm using my front leg in the air multiple times, not only am I at risk for pumping too many times because the modern day rule set, I can't pump more than 3 times, but also if he creates an angle and he reads that I'm trying to go in this straight line, but he creates an angle off to the side, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm at a bad position and I'm all squared up, whereas he's ready to throw any attack that may see fit. The next type of style that we're going to be covering is a back leg fighter. What is a back leg fighter? Now, with a back leg fighter, they're not only limited to using their back leg, but they're a lot more flexible with the range of techniques that they're going to be using during the fight. So a classic, more balanced back leg fighter would be, instead of starting off in this back loaded stance, they're going to be a little bit more neutral. So they have just about 50-50 in both feet. And this type of fighter is going to be using a lot more angles and footwork to set up their back leg. So if earlier we were talking about that linear style of cut leg fighting, almost like we're fencing, the back leg fighter would try and get off of the line. So I'm creating an angle with my footwork, or I'm faking and using my motion to throw that person off guard and mess up their timing. That way I can time my back leg techniques, or I can set them up with front leg, create an angle, and then again, score with that back leg. So now that you guys understand what a back leg style fighter is, I want to show you guys a basic game plan of how you can apply it during your fights on the mat. So as a back leg fighter, I'm going to have my stance a little bit more neutral, right? I'm going to have my heels up so I can use my footwork a little bit more than a front leg fighter would. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to have my front hand as a parry and also my front leg ready to cancel in case they throw those front leg attacks. So once I am able to time those front leg attacks, right, and I can either cancel or use my footwork to create an angle, I'm trying to use that offbeat timing to throw my back leg and score it on either his chest or his body. So I'll show you guys two different examples, right? I'm going to time his front leg, right? I cancel, and then I create that offbeat timing. Or I can fake, cancel, draw out that front leg, cut the angle, and then throw that back leg. And what this sets up for me is momentum coming into my opponent. So again, I'm going to show you the cancel first. So once I cancel and I have the offbeat and I throw the back leg, all of my momentum is going forward, so I can continue to push and kick or create an angle and get another shot off using the momentum that I get from throwing all that back leg. Now let's talk about the stances and footwork for the back leg fighter. We are now going to cover rhythm footwork. So when I'm talking about rhythm footwork, I want you guys to imagine in your head almost like a metronome, or if you're thinking about music, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Everyone listens to music. You have a basic understanding of beats or rhythm, right? So what we're gonna work on today is using our basic footwork to become a little bit more advanced and create our own personal rhythm. Now, my rhythm is not going to be your rhythm. That's why it's so important that you practice at home and get comfortable with yourself. But what we're gonna cover today is a few different styles. So we're gonna work up from the bottom and then build up to the top. The first one we're gonna cover is 1 and 1. So we're gonna go 1 forward and 1 back. So in your head, you could think or say 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? Again, I'm gonna show you 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. As you can see, whether I'm stepping forward or I'm stepping back, my stance is neutral and I'm still ready to kick, defend, or parry in whatever stance that I'm in, okay? So once you get the 1, 1, 1, 1 down, we're gonna work on 2 forward and then 1 back, all right? So we're gonna go 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. And what this does is it gradually eats space on your opponent. And the fact that you're creating that metronome effect kind of masks the fact that you're moving forward, all right? So it looks like I'm being very natural, right? And I'm starting back here, but in reality, I'm gradually eating space with that extra step each time. So again, we're going 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. And if you saw, I started back there, but now I'm up here, all right? Now, the last one we're gonna cover is a backward step with the same idea. So we're gonna go 2 steps back and 1 forward. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. And I'll start from over here to show you. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. And if you saw, I gradually pulled back over time. Now in game, this is very applicable in both a winning situation and a losing situation. So if I'm not trying to engage, I could use that backward step And if I'm trying to engage, right, I could use the forward step. So then that way, I'm not just running into my opponent and I'm not just running away from my opponent. I'm masking the fact that I'm either eating or giving up space with the footwork that I use. So at your dojang, when you're at home, you could put on some music, you could put on a metronome, but just try to create your own rhythm so you get really comfortable with your body. And then we can apply that in the tactics toolbox. The next fake that we're going to be covering in this module is going to be the back leg fake. When we're doing the back leg fake, it's very important to use our whole body to make it as realistic as possible. So when we come into our neutral stance, from here, we're going to work on loading into our stance and then also using our arms to create the effect that we're going to be throwing that back leg. So first, we're going to be lifting our front leg ever so slightly. And then from here, it's almost like we're taking a shovel and we're shoveling dirt from the floor. So just like we shovel dirt, we're going to use our arms to shovel in place. What this does, it creates a wave effect. So it looks like I'm loading up to throw my back leg, but in reality, I'm staying in place. So again, I'm going to create that wave, create that shoveling effect. Side view. Now from here, just like the front leg fake, I want you guys to go into the mirror first, throw a back leg roundhouse kick, and then from there, you'll be able to find the answer to what fake or what style of fake best fits you. Faking and motioning is not a one-size-fits-all, so it's very important to read yourself, do the homework, and then from there we can create the most natural fake as possible, which will give us the best results in game. The triangle step is an essential technique used to create an angle on your opponent. I'm gonna break it down into two different styles, which is gonna be the front foot triangle step and also the back foot triangle step. Now when doing it, it combines both a sideways step and a motion to create the effect of a fake, and also while the opponent is stunned or they're focused on looking at your fake, you're able to create that angle. So the first one we're gonna focus on is the front leg side triangle step. I want you guys to start a little bit behind the middle of the cross. What we're gonna do is first focus on stepping into the middle. So as I step into the middle, I'm gonna ever so slightly load that front leg, not putting my heel down, just tapping with the ball of my foot. Once I do that, it should look just like that front leg fake, right? But from there, I'm going to slide 45 degrees with this back foot, just like the side step that we worked on. So if you put that all together, you should be able to step and then side step. So we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And now, once you guys get that down, I want you guys to work on that. We're gonna go on 5 rotations along the cross, and then we can move on to the back leg triangle step as well. So from here, instead of stepping with my front foot, I'm going to step with my back foot. So it's gonna, instead of looking like a front leg fake, it's gonna look like a back leg fake, okay? So I'm going to step up with this foot, right? I wanna make sure that I'm not putting too much weight forward, because if they bite that fake, I'm at risk to get hit with their leg, right? So I'm just gonna step with that foot as fast as possible and then get out the way, all right? So I'm going to step and then side step, okay? So one more time, I'm going to step and then side step. And what this does is it creates that back leg effect that I'm going to come in, but in reality, I'm creating the angle. And if they, for example, lift their front leg or flinch from that fake, I'm at a very good position to square up because they still haven't adjusted because they're used to looking at me linearly. So again, we're going to step and then side step, all right? So for both of the front leg and the back leg triangle steps, we're gonna try and get 5 rotations around the cross on both stances, and then we can move on to the next technique. Offensive techniques for back leg fighting. The back leg double roundhouse kick, also known as dabul in Korean, is when you bring up your back leg to throw the roundhouse kick, but you're going to switch off to the other leg. So I'm going to work on snapping that front leg first, and I want to make sure that I don't get too much rotation as that I can't spin and hit that second one. So once I bring this front leg up, or this back leg up, and snap, I want to work on switching my legs and then getting that other leg over to the side. One way you can use your knees to kind of make this a little bit easier is I want you to think about bringing your knee sideways and then getting the other knee over as well. So both your knees and your hips are creating this whole double effect. Once you can bring both knees and hips side to side, then you can work on snapping the leg out and getting that double roundhouse kick. So from here, when drilling the back leg double, I'm going to come into a closed stance with my partner, and while they're holding the bag, they're going to open up to the back side. That way I have a point of contact to put my foot on, so then after I kick, they can turn their body and I can work on getting that second kick. So I'm going to bounce in about a medium distance, and when I feel like the timing is right, I'm going to throw that back leg, push off the target, and then get that nice double. For the spinning back hook kick, or the 튀우르기, we're going to work in a similar stance to the back kick. So when I turn to do that spinning back hook kick, I'm going to pivot that front leg again. So my heel is up. I'm going to look over my shoulder first so I could get a nice view of where I want to kick. Now from here, this is where we differentiate a back kick going straight back and a back hook kick making a loop around the target. So I'm not going to bring my leg up completely sideways. I'm going to bring it up 45 degrees. This way my opponent can't see the arc of the kick as easily. And then once I get right to where their chin is, I'm going to push through and extend and hook around. So from here, slow motion, I'm going to turn, look over at the target. I pick up my chambered leg and I'm going to hook through. Once I get that motion down, I can work on getting it into a fluid motion, so then that way I could work on getting that smoothness. When working on the back hook kick for an offensive situation, I'm going to give myself a little bit of extra room from the target so I could slide into it. So my holder is going to hold at about 45 degrees. And I'm going to aim to hit just about here where the opponent's chin would be. Now from here, if this is my cocked leg, I want you guys to think about it almost like I'm pushing through, not like I'm swinging around like a demonstration kick. I'm pushing through like a back kick, and at the very last second, I extend and hook. So that way I get that knockout power. So again, I'm going to have a little bit extra distance so I could slide into it, get a little bit of momentum. And then once I find that base, that good distance, I can work on kicking through. When we're in the clinch, we're at a very close range distance, so I don't have enough space to fully extend through my kicks. Like a normal roundhouse kick, I would get stuffed like this. So in order to squeeze in that kick, I like to call it a clinch back leg. I'm going to be inside the kick, and instead of bringing my knee forward, I'm going to push my hips out so I have enough room between me and the opponent so I can squeeze in almost like a straight leg roundhouse kick. After I throw the kick, I want to make sure that I'm not kicking and stepping out because that puts me in the range to get Apbal over the face. I want to make sure that I'm staying in the distance. I kick and I shut down forward. So again, almost like I'm bringing a straight leg up. I'm not pushing my hips in because it's going to go too far forward. I want to use my hands to push a little bit and also push my hips out. That gives me just enough space to squeeze in and hit that clinch back leg. When drilling the clinch back leg, we're going to start off in a short to medium distance. From here, both myself and the holder are going to be clashing together. And what my job is to do as the kicker is to frame up with my hands first. So once we clash, I want to get a nice frame, so then that way I stop their momentum, and I also have enough space between the target and myself to squeeze in that back leg. Once I'm here, I throw the back leg with that leg straight, and I'm going to work on shutting down, aka closing the distance. So full speed, we're going to start off from here. We're going to feel each other out. I can even use some bounces and some fakes, right? And when we feel like the timing is right, I'm going to work on timing that frame into kick. Defensive and counter techniques for the back leg fighter. The underkick or meatball is one of the many ways to counter the front leg cut kick. So when you come into the open stance and you throw a back leg roundhouse kick, it's very easy to get caught up if the person lifts their front leg, just like this. So what I'm trying to do is take my top of my body and lean back. And not only am I leaning back, but I'm pushing my hips in and forward to extend. And then almost like a seesaw, I'm kicking the target and then using that momentum to bring that foot back to where it started. So I want you guys to start off with a partner and have them lift their leg. And as they lift their leg, you're gonna time your under kick to go under the target. So from here, just like I said, you're going to push your hips in, lean back, and kick. So once you guys get comfortable with throwing that under kick, I want you to start implementing your front hand to parry the front leg as well, just like so. So I parry, and then I kick. But then from here, as you can see, I want you guys to keep your hands up, so then that way if they throw a second or third kick, you're still ready to defend. For this technique, we're gonna be utilizing our footwork to create a motion and angle to hopefully get our opponent to react with their front leg, and then also us having a more advantageous position in order to score that under kick on the chest guard. So in order to get a reaction, I'm first going to give them a motion or a fake to get them to lift that front leg. So from here. Now, once I see that I could get them to lift that front leg, I'm going to use the triangle step that we worked on in the Lightning Footwork Lab to create an angle. And now I have a nice open side on this back, and I'm going to score that under. So if you put it all together, from here, I get the motion first, create the angle, and then hit the under kick. Tactics and scenarios for the back leg fighter. So to show you guys a way to apply your back leg style fighting, I'm gonna show you in this example. So I have a front leg cancel ready. So when this person comes out with that front leg, I'm canceling them. And again, as you can see, if I have a good cancel, they're gonna be pushed back a little bit and they're gonna be a little bit off balance. So me as the back leg fighter, I can take advantage of that and eat the space. And what I'm looking to do is get a reaction from them so I can set up that back leg under kick. So again, he comes out with that front leg, I cancel, I eat the space, and then I kick under his front leg. Again, one more time. I'm canceling, eating the space, and then kicking under to score that point. So in this situation, I'm gonna be a rear leg style fighter fighting against a front leg style fighter. So in this here, he's going to be throwing his front leg, and I want to be able to have my cancel and my front leg cut ready so I can play this front leg footsing game. Once I can figure out his timing and figure out his distance, instead of trying to keep my leg in the air with his and kind of fence with him, I'm trying to see the correct timing that I can put my foot down a split second faster than his, so I get a little bit of a head start and be able to explode into that back leg so I can set it up. So here I'll show you guys, I can cut, I can cancel, right? And what I'm doing is I'm trying to find the second where I could put my foot down first to explode. So again. just like this. And what it does is it sets up my momentum. So if you guys saw, I'm coming into him, I can feed into other clinch style kicks, or I can create another opportunity to score with that same back leg. Whereas if I didn't set up with my front leg first, then I had run the risk of running into his front leg cut kick. In this next situation, I'm gonna show you guys a combo that you could utilize in your fight, especially if this fighter knows that I'm throwing these back legs throughout the game. So throughout the game, as I showed you guys earlier, I'm looking as a back leg fighter to utilize offbeat timing. So if I see that he's lifting his leg and I feel like I could kick it, I'm trying to kick that under kick before he is able to touch me. Or if we're playing the front leg fencing game, I'm trying to drop my foot first and then run in with that back leg floater, right? But then on this technique, since he's used to me slamming his open side multiple times throughout the fight, he's going to either flinch or react with that front leg every time I throw it. So he's gonna lift to try and counter me. So I'm gonna utilize him having one foot off the floor so he can't move, and then I'm going to turn it into a spinning back hook kick. So as you can see, he's used to me throwing the back leg. He's used to me throwing the back leg. And then once I see that he has that reaction, I can switch my feet and then throw the back hook over the shoulder. So another common mistake that I see with a lot of back leg fighters is that they're just looking to slam and land that back leg on the other opponent's chest guard or headgear. So if you're only thinking that I want to score me first, right? You're not thinking about what this opponent might do to counter me. So then that leads to a lot of situations where I'm just throwing my back leg as a back leg fighter and I'm getting caught with these front leg cuts, or I'm getting caught with these front leg Apbals to the head, right? And I'm not giving myself any setup or any prior information to make an educated choice. So what I'm missing here is using my fakes and my body motion to read my opponent first. So if I'm using my fakes, right, and I see that this person is moving forward and sliding forward with their cut, right, then I can read that this is not the time to throw my back leg. Because if I throw it at the same time, I'm off balance and they're moving forward, I'm gonna either fall down or get scored on, right? So in that situation, I know that I have to play this front leg cancel game a little bit more. Now, if I fake and I see that they're staying in place and they're just lifting their leg, then I know that they're being a little bit more reactive to me and I have a little bit more dominance over them. So then I can take an educated guess that it's worth to throw that back leg and take the risk. And then also, if I give a fake and I see that they're moving back, right, then I know again that I can eat that space and create a little bit more pressure on them, and maybe they run into me and then I can throw a back leg or a counter myself. So as a back leg fighter, do not just think about throwing your techniques. You have to read your opponent first, especially if they're a cut leg fighter, which is very hard and can be very annoying to deal with. You have to read them with your fakes and your motions, right? And then from there, you want to make your decision. So if you found this helpful and you're looking to learn more kicks, skills, and Taekwondo tactics, make sure you click the link below in the description to join the Taekwondo Fury Institution. And I'm looking forward to see you guys on the mat.